Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel for 6 things that we learned from Spurs 0, Chelsea 1. I got an hour's sleep before this game, but I can't say that I have ever been so happy to have so little sleep and to be absolutely buzzing to bring you guys a 6 things we learned from Chelsea making yet another final. We got the job done, 3-0 on aggregate, dominating Antonio Conte's Spurs. Thomas Tuchel once again tactically brilliant. Everything we did tonight was about getting the job done. Like I said in the preview, it was like it was half time. We're 2-0 up from Stamford Bridge, and we treated this game just like it was that. Rüdiger got the goal, which absolutely settled everything. When you look at Spurs, when you listen to the fans, all you could hear was Chelsea fans. Spurs fans dejected. They knew that they weren't going to get anything from this, even though there were so many refereeing decisions that technically went against Chelsea. And then finally, VAR comes in and says, you know what? I think it's about time that you guys had a bit of luck. And finally, the decisions, correctly, by the rulebook of the game, go in Chelsea's favour. People can say that Spurs could have had a couple of penalties, could have had a goal, whatever they want to say, it's irrelevant. Chelsea have kept 2 clean sheets against Spurs in a semi-final, 2-legged affair, and we get the job done. Before we get into the boxes, I do want to ask you to subscribe to the George Benson Football Channel if you haven't already done so, and if you can hit the like button on today's video, I will be a very happy man. But we begin box number 1 with a green for Toni Rudiger. Once again, inside the new White Hart Lane, Rüdiger scores, and Chelsea win a game of football, and we keep a clean sheet. It's not a coincidence, you know, and I don't care how much at this point Toni Rudiger wants. Can we just, give him the pen, make him sign the contract, whatever he's asking for? I promise you, it's probably worth it to keep Toni Rudiger at the club. There was even a moment in the first half where one of the Spurs penalty calls, I can't remember which one it was now. I think it was the first one, and Rüdiger is obviously adamant that the ball was actually played, he didn't actually play the ball whatsoever. It was still a foul, but it's outside the area. And you just see him getting under the skin of the Spurs players. The referee got the decision wrong. VAR calls it back. And I think what Rüdiger does is he kind of installs fear into opposition attackers, into players that are trying to come at him. They not only know that there is a back 3 of Chelsea and a goalkeeper who are incredibly well tactically drilled, where it's very difficult to break them down, to actually create clear-cut opportunities. But Rüdiger also gets in the head of opposition players. And I think this Chelsea team, as much as today we focus on the positives from yet another win, if we're looking at what's lacking in this team, it is players that have those kind of characteristics like Rüdiger does to get under the skin of the opposition, so that when it comes to these big game moments, Chelsea can manage it so incredibly well simply because we've got those kind of players that can boss and bully opposition players in a game like this, in a semi-final, in a London derby. It is absolutely key that Chelsea keep hold of players like Rüdiger. I thought he was fantastic tonight, trying to play brilliant balls forward as well for Lukaku, Timo Werner to run onto, or at least to get in behind the lines. I thought everything Rüdiger did was absolutely exceptional. And we move into box number 2. Speaking of runs, speaking of balls over the top, I thought Timo Werner, between Werner and Lukaku, I had to give a box to one of them, because I think although Chelsea didn't necessarily have that many shots on goal that were of note, I think the movement that Timo Werner had in this first half in particular, he came off after 65 minutes, but I think the movement that Timo Werner showed tonight is once again proof that Chelsea can go out there and play with both Werner and Lukaku on the field. I think Werner got into good opportunities. He was linking up very well with Callum Hudson-Odoi, linking up very well with Romelu Lukaku too. I was very impressed with Timo Werner's game today. I think a lot of, once again, the off-the-ball stuff that we've praised Timo Werner for over the 2 years or so he's been at Chelsea, I think today was once again a massive showing of what Timo Werner can bring to the team in terms of stretching. Spurs, they were unsure whether they were to focus all of their attention on Lukaku. Timo Werner was drawing 2 or 3 defenders out of the game with his movement. And even though Chelsea weren't necessarily creating too many clear-cut chances, I thought Timo Werner was one of the better attackers today. We move into box number 3, And I've got to give it to Kepa Arrizabalaga. He made a massive save to deny Emerson Royale. The commentary probably didn't give it as much justice where I was watching on Mola TV. But then also the penalty that Lucas Moura thought that he'd won, that was never a penalty, that is a brilliant piece of instinctive goalkeeping from Kepa. He was quick off his toes. He was very confident with the way that he was moving out to actually put pressure on the Spurs attackers to have early shots, to actually win the ball back. It was never a penalty. Chelsea today, Andre Marriner, we can say whatever we want about Anthony Taylor, but it did seem as though Andre Marriner was kind of working in Spurs' favour. He wanted to make it an exciting cup tie to get Spurs back into it by giving a couple of penalties. But quite frankly, all of the decisions that were eventually given were the right ones. VAR works in Chelsea's favour. I thought Kepa was good, even though he made that mistake, which led to the Harry Kane goal, which, to be honest, I'm not going to lie to you and sit here and pretend that I'm like an absolute footballing rulebook hero and I remember everything. But I looked at it and I'm like, maybe Rüdiger's playing him onside. I think somebody's playing him onside here. And then obviously the rule with players being in front of keepers actually benefited Chelsea. So even though it was Kepa's mistake, I think it was the fact today that he played the game on the front foot, distributed it quickly, was out there to make big blocks in big moments where if Lucas Moura would have scored when Kepa comes out, makes the save that was deemed a foul originally, then you could be looking at the last 25-30 minutes of this game and thinking, well, Spurs have actually got something to fight for here. So Kepa in the big moments was big once again. Delighted with his performance. We move into box number 4, and I've got to give it to VAR. I've got to talk about it today because a lot of people will say, oh, well, Spurs maybe could have had 2 penalties here. They could have had a goal if the rules are the rules, like maybe some of us, a lot of us, according to social media, myself included, were unaware that Harry Kane's goal couldn't in fact stand by the rules of the game. But I think overall, it's about bloody time that Chelsea got VAR calls in our favour. And at the end of the day, the history books are only going to remember the scoreline from this fixture. Chelsea win 1-0 away from home, continuing an amazing unbeaten run against Spurs, 3-0 on aggregate in a Carabao Cup Semi-Final. Chelsea make the final. We go into Wembley, and VAR is certainly one of our helpers today. But I think overall, the way we managed this match today, the way that we overall played over the course of 180 minutes, plus whatever stoppage time there was, Chelsea, I thought, were absolutely phenomenal. We move into box number 5, and I've given box number 5 to Malang Sarr. I thought he did not look out of place today in a Chelsea back line against the strong Spurs team. They seriously miss Heung-min Son. I feel as though they're still trying to understand what Antonio Conte is trying to make them do. But I thought Malang Sarr today was absolutely brilliant. The way he got forward, but yet was still managing his runs in the first half, was fantastic. And then Chelsea in the second half, we knew that we didn't need to overexert ourselves. Malang Sarr didn't need to keep advancing into the final third. And I think in the second half, positionally, and with the blocks and tackles that he made, I thought he was as good as anybody on the pitch. I thought today was a brilliant performance from Malang Sarr. When you've got players like Thiago Silva that can come off the bench for Chelsea in a 2-legged semi-final, you know you're always going to be safe. I feel like with this Chelsea team, in this game is where we kind of re-embodied that brilliant defensive work rate, the brilliant defensive positioning that kind of went missing over the December period. Over the course of 2 legs against Spurs, we keep 2 clean sheets. We look absolutely solid. And Malang Sarr today, I thought, was one of the best players on the field. But we finish box number 6. I've put Mateo Kovacic and Jorginho in the same box. When I looked at the Spurs team sheet, I already knew that we were going to win this game. I think Kovacic is in such brilliant form right now. And Jorginho's in-game management and the way that he holds himself on the field in these massive moments. He's a Champions League winner, European champion with Italy. We managed everything so well today, and I think it's a massive credit to Thomas Tuchel that in such a big game, we can have a player like N'Golo Kante on the bench. And I've said it before here on GBFC, we are blessed with Kovacic, Jorginho, and N'Golo Kante as our 3 top central midfielders. We are so blessed to have such phenomenal footballers with such phenomenal footballing minds in our Chelsea squad. No matter who it is out of those 3, when they're on song, when we're on form, Chelsea are unstoppable. And I think over the course of these 2 legs, whether it's Arsenal or Liverpool in a one-off game in the final, we got to back Chelsea to win. Thomas Tuchel's record has been fantastic. The way we've managed this semi-final was incredible. And even though Spurs were probably the better team in the second half, it was only the final quarter of the entire tie. Chelsea dominated, we get the job done, and we are going to Wembley. I'm absolutely knackered, so I'm going to try and get this video out for you guys as soon as possible. Subscribe to GBFC if you are new around here and haven't already done so. Thank you guys for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Catch you guys later. Come on, you Blues.